This is Sahila once again. Because of some computer glitches, the live on CBT was not available to many of the followers. I apologize for that. So, here is a complete recording of the cognitive behavioral therapy at home. So, what is CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy? It is usually done by a psychologist and aims at controlling or changing the thoughts and behavior patterns of the patients and individuals. And it involves a long talk or sessions, usually about half an hour to 1 hour, and it takes about several sessions like this. The success rate of CBT for anxiety and depression is only about 50%, and the problem with it not being very successful is because there are so many factors attached to the CBT. One, you have to find a very successful and a very understanding psychotherapist who is willing to spend that much time with you. Second, it is not covered by the normal insurance, so most of the sessions you have to pay from your pocket, and so most of the patients find that very, very hard. And number three is that it takes about 8 to 10 sessions before you start seeing any real improvement. So patients after second or third sessions, they get tired and frustrated, and because they are not seeing any big change. And it's because it takes a lot of time from the psychotherapist to understand your mind. But in this lockdown period, this will be very hard for all the patients and people who are at home, not able to get the sufficient help. So I thought this would be a good a mental checklist or a quick mental sketch to understand what are the steps involved in CBT and how you can help or conduct this on yourself. And thus it makes it easier for the patients. Also, because the lockdown and the pandemic and everything has caused an increase in the anxiety and depression all over. So, all the psychological illnesses are on the rise. So this is all the more needed at this time. So let's get to the what is cognitive behavioral therapy. And what are the steps involved? Now, I'm going to not use any complex medical terms. I'm going to be using very, very simple terms with concepts from Kriya Yoga and Raja Yoga, and also some concepts picked from the psychological textbook. So this will be a very simple presentation, but very hands-on and very easy to practice at home. So I'm hoping everybody can benefit from this, and it will definitely be worth a try. So I have only 4 slides here, and you can take pictures, or it's very simple and very precise. The first one is here. So what are the positive emotions and the negative emotions? So positive emotions is very, very clear. There is love, there's hopeful, excitement, satisfaction, acceptance, and gratitude. Now, this is, of course, one of the highest positive emotion. And to get here, the goal is to get here, right? For everyone to feel grateful. So this would be the goal. Now, in the negative emotions, now again, I'm only made a list of only the common emotions. There are a lot more positive emotions that you may not find it here, but, I'm focusing on the top 6 factors. And in the negative, we see fear, guilt, anger, hatred, jealousy, and distrust. Again, here, there are a lot more other emotions involved, but we are going to focus on the most common ones that I have encountered in my practice. So from here, our goal is to get here, right? Now, you commonly see the psychologist or, patients who are going through anxiety and depression, the people always advise them that you have to stay positive, you have to take out, you cannot think negatively, I mean, it's not easy. It is easier said than done. The reason is because positive and negative, they always coexist in us, right? Nobody can be 100% positive all the time. All of us have faced these negative emotions at some point in our life. And that is what brings us to the next slide, Antarmauna. So Antarmauna is a part of Kriya and Raja Yoga. So what does it say? As you can see in this picture, all of us are very good in showing the positive emotions. Like if you see these colorful parts, these are the positive emotions. But here are the negative emotions that are embedded in the subconscious brain, which we don't show, we don't let it out. We try to keep them inside. So we are very good in showing our positive emotions, which is why we will see on social media everybody showing pictures of them or their spouse and their families of going on vacation or partying and drinking and things like that. But nobody wants to show the negative side of the life, right? So the negative side is what these factors are. Now, how many of us will go and tell their best friend that even if you hate that friend, will you be able to say that? No. Will you be able to say, I fear going to work? No. But that will be hidden here in the subconscious brain. So Antarmauna is nothing but inner peace. So what is Antarmauna telling is to maintain peace on the inner part of the brain or the subconscious brain. And until this is maintained, the peace and treatment for anxiety or depression cannot be done. So how do we maintain the inner peace or Antarmauna? Now this brings us to the next slide. The 4A steps. Now this is not something that you will find in any psychological books or online. These are steps that I practice for my patients, even for myself, honestly. So these are the 4A steps. The one is being aware, the most important, being aware of these negative symptoms that are hidden in the subconscious mind. And second is the acceptance. So 90% of the patients are stuck here, 90%. So once you cross step 1 and 2, awareness and acceptance, assessment of the options and action will happen automatically. So the biggest problem is crossing the first 2 steps, and then you are already 90% or halfway there. Now, how do we become aware of those negative or hidden emotions in the subconscious brain? And that is the key of this whole process. Now we will talk about it in different scenarios, because if I talk about just in a broad sense like anxiety or depression, you might ask, what exactly is anxiety? So I'm going to paint 3 different age groups. Now this brings to the next slide. 18-year-old girl with fear, 28-year-old woman with hatred, 38-year-old man with distrust. Now this can be girl or boy, woman or man or woman, it can be interchange, and we'll talk about all those different scenarios. Now in the 18-year-old girl with fear, most commonly I see that these patients are brought in by their mother. And, they have complaints like she has a lot of worries, she's not able to socialize, she's not being herself. So, and usually they're from well-to-do families, they're going to the best schools, the best education, the best set of clothes, food. So the problem here is not that they don't have enough. The problem in this age group is mostly in the most common scenario is that they don't is they have a lot of peer pressure. And what is this peer pressure? Now it varies between what is it for a girl and a boy. So we're going to talk first about the girl. Usually it will be complaints like, I'm not, oh my God, I'm not invited to this party, or my boyfriend thinks I'm too fat, or I am scoring, my scores are very low compared to my friend, and, things like that. So that worries accumulates, and then it builds into the anxiety and then worsens into depression. Now, if it's a boy, the complaints are usually like, he's into video game addiction, he is always, watching pornography, or he's usually in his room locked up, he's not socializing or, talking to anybody, he's eating junk food and things like that. So recently also I heard a mother who said that her teenage son started hitting her. He started hitting the mother because of extreme anxiety. So he started physically abusing the mother. So this it can be very dangerous, and if they are not treated, if these symptoms are not corrected at the core, then they can lead to other issues. And what is that? Suicide rates goes up, which we are already seeing among the teenagers. Alcohol problems and addictions. Addiction rates are high. Video game addictions, drug addictions, and personality disorders. They can lead to other personality disorders in future. So, we see, so if these are not corrected at the core or at the bud, then you're going to see all these issues. So it's very important we address this at this stage or at a younger stage. So how do we apply the 4A program or 4A steps by the Sahila? So what I usually advise for people who want to practice this, please find a secluded room without any noise, sit in a comfortable posture, and don't allow the TV, switch off the TV or electronic devices and other things, and focus. Go into a deep meditative pose and start thinking about how are you feeling in the inside, how are you feeling on the outside, and start analyzing one by one, like exactly how it is described in this picture. So as you go deeper and deeper, you will start recognizing what is the emotion that is hidden here. It could be various things, or it could be a combination of different negative emotions. Once you recognize this, once you became aware of this, accept it. Now this is the key, this is the most important key here. So, it is okay. Tell yourself it's okay to be fearful. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to feel jealous. It's okay. Yes, I'm normal. Yes, I feel jealous of my friend. Yes, that's normal. Accept it. Now assess the options. What are my options? Now, if you're being bullied, or if you're being harassed, you have to approach the student counselor. And if you don't like your set of friends, then you can switch the groups. Or if you want to focus more on other activities and other interests like arts and science are a good way to distract yourself from the anxiety feelings. Music, dance, if you're a girl, if you're a boy, you can focus on sports activities, because that anything that's physically active will not allow your brain to creep up those negative emotions. So think in those lines and act. Like whatever are the options, then act on those options that comes to your mind. Now, if parents can be very vigilant of these 4 A's, please help the kids become aware and help them in assessing the options, help them with action. And here also you can say approach is one other option, but here I did not add it because it's difficult to approach for outside help during the lockdown process. So we'll stick to the act here, where this is the self-directed approach, where the patient himself or herself acts on the problem. Now, parents, remember, these symptoms may not be obvious. Remember, these fear and anxieties and guilt and anger, they will not be obvious because the patient will look normal from outside. For even the 18-year-old may look perfectly normal, but when you look and assess them, they will have a lot of insecurities and fears hidden inside, and that is what we should focus on. We don't need to hide them. Our purpose of this therapy is to bring these hidden emotions to the surface, bring them to the surface and allow them to heal, and by following the 4A steps. Now we're going to go to the 28-year-old woman with hatred. Now this is a very complex scenario. I'm going to do my best to explain, and as you move to the higher age groups, the scenario will become more and more complex, unfortunately. So 28-year-old woman, and we're going to talk about the man later, is usually working for a small firm, has immense pressure, financial pressure at home, and has immense pressure to work here. And at the same time, she is also faced by a senior person or a boss who's physically harassing her, abusing her. And this can be very frustrating for the women and for the women folk, because as a woman, I clearly understand the difference. So so this is also the reason why it gave rise to the Me Too movement a few years ago. So it's a good thing, the hatred that was inside caused so much frustration in the women, and it brought about an awareness. The Me Too is nothing but an awareness of the harassment at work, situation, especially in this age group. So, so this is a very frightening scenario and very common scenario, and please be aware of it. And for the males, usually they're in a much different kind of approach in this age group, especially. So so you have to understand there will be a little bit of estrogenic and testosterone effects in this age group. Women usually have more are the giving types, so they will be in professions mostly like nursing, right? You will hardly see males there, but males are usually in a profession where they demand things, like they demand, like for example, like an army or a police or a cops. You mostly see males. They demand discipline, they demand respect, they demand a rise in the pay, they demand in salary, a bonus, things like that. And that can make them very agitated. If they fail to meet the demands, it makes them very aggressive. So that can also stem to a lot of hatred at work, and competition, hatred, jealousy. So these things are very commonly seen in this age group. Now, how can they address this with the 4A steps? Now, first of all, the women have to be aware of this problem that exists at work, and they have to accept it. They should say it's okay. Yes, I hate my boss, and he's an idiot. I work for an idiot. Yes, I have to accept it. The moment I accept it, I have made peace with my inner self, and then I have to assess the options. Now, can I shift to a different firm, or can I improve my skill set to go to a higher position, or can I approach a woman who's in a higher position for help? So there are counselors at work, to assess and help you. So think about all the different scenarios and options and act on them. So that will be the best case scenario to help you counteract the anxiety and depression. Now, coming to the third case scenario, a 38-year-old man with distrust. Now, this can be equally a woman too, and we often seen this. In most common scenario that I have encountered is when a man sees a very disturbing message or a picture or a photo or an email from an unknown person, and he's put in a fearful spot. He's put in a spot where he doesn't know whether to believe it, and he doesn't want to confront his wife because he feels if she may lie to him, or if she admits to it, then he doesn't want to face that consequences. So in turn, what does he do? He hires people to keep a tab on her, or he tries to check on her phone when she's in the bathroom or shower, or he tries to call her secretary. And it's the same thing for the woman too. If the woman doesn't has some mistrust on on her husband, then she tries to keep tabs on his bank accounts, and it could be even financial things, like there is a huge sum of money that is spent on something, and the other partner does not know about it. Then when the transaction is revealed, you're in a state of shock, and you're always wondering why this was not discussed with the consented partner. So this creates a lot of mistrust and anxiety and fear. So instead of devising ways to increase your anxiety, the best thing is to accept it. So again, that brings us back to the 4A steps. So become aware. So the distrust or the mistrust of the arose in the patient. It did not come from the partner's brain, right? This problem came from you. The patient who has this anxiety, he has the problem because he is not able to trust the other partner. So this is you have to accept it. Yes, I have a problem. I am not able to trust my partner. I accept it. Now, what do I do next? So you can go for counseling. And usually when I say counseling, you have to go to a person like a psychotherapist or somebody that can give an unbiased opinion. Please don't choose a friend or a family member, because usually they will give you a very biased opinion based on their judgments, on their prior knowledge about you. But it would be wise to stick to a new person who can assess both of you individually, or even one of you individually, one after the other, and give the opinion, and then act on it. Please don't keep it inside and start building up other kinds of fear and trust and mistrust and hatred, and then it leads to much bigger issues in future. And some of these, or most of these, can also end up in divorce, and it then affects the children. They have to face the consequences too. So we don't want like I said, the problems get more and more complicated as the age advances. So it's always good to get rid of the problems at a younger age, so you are not piling up one on top of the other. So Antarmauna is exactly what it says. It's about inner peace. No matter how you look outwardly, you may look very beautiful, very cheerful, you're very helpful, you seem hopeful, but you have to always look at the demons that are inside that is causing you these anxiety symptoms. So work on that, and automatically you will find that all those symptoms, all those negative symptoms and emotions are clearing up. The more your inner subconscious brain is clear of all those things, the more happy you will feel, and you will see a rise in your positive emotions. Now that is the key to happiness. So one of them, when I had explained this in the past, asked me if I Doc, I don't want to have negative emotions at all. Can I be positive all the time? Like, can I stay here? I don't want to have fear. I don't want to have guilt. I don't want to have anger, hatred, jealousy, mistrust, nothing. Can I be here? Yes, it's not impossible, but it's very, very hard. And that brings us to a very beautiful concept that is explained. It's called Vairagya. Vairagya, or detachment, is not just physical detachment but emotional detachment. It's a wonderful concept that is practiced in yoga, where you detach to all the positive and the negative symptoms. And you usually see this in big saints and yogis. Even if you ask them the most ridiculous questions, or even if you accuse them of anything, they will not get angry. And even if you shower them with a lot of love and excitement, they will just smile and walk away. So that is a very neutral way of handling the emotions, and that is very difficult for normal people like you and me. But it's not impossible. We can get there after years and years of practice of different kinds of yoga that we discussed earlier. It includes a fusion of all the yoga practices like Hatha Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and things like that. So that will be the goal of all these Antarmauna, and that is Antarmauna is a very beautiful concept that can be used in many psychological conditions. If you want, please read up, and books. There is excellent books on that, and I can recommend books for you. But and before we leave, I want to leave you with one last concept on yoga. The Patanjali Sutras, the number one Patanjali Sutra. He has said 200 sutras. He is the guru of yoga. He has said 200 sutras. The number one being Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Now he says that even if you don't remember the rest of the 199 sutras, please just remember this. Chitta Vritti Nirodha means remove all the unwanted mental processes. Now this is exactly what we were talking in this past 20 minutes. If you are able to get rid of all the negative processes by using Antarmauna and by adopting the 4 steps that we discussed, you will be a lot more closer to inner peace and inner happiness. And I hope this was helpful and useful. If you have any questions, concerns, let me know. But until next time, we will meet with another topic. Thank you.